there, AP Art History class! Are you ready to see me embarrass myself? Yeah! This is the project that we have to do, of course, duh. And you guys are probably like, what is she doing on the screen or whatever? Well, I decided to make a YouTube video because that's what I'm good at. So here we go. By the way, this is my student teacher at the moment, David Tennant. He'll clear anything up if I mess anything right. Right, David? Okay, good. David Tennant's there for me. He's got my back. My topic was power and authority, and basically what I'm going to be discussing right now is how leaders throughout history, both good and bad ones, have used artwork to gain support from the rest of society by portraying themselves as a relatable power figure. The first piece that we had to pick was a piece from either the prehistoric era or the ancient period, and since technically Rome is called Ancient Rome, I decided to go with a piece of artwork that we have already discussed in class. It's Augustus of Prima Porta, because I thought that would be just a really good piece to start out with. It's one we're all familiar with. Granted, we might not have all been listening, but we did talk about it in class. I assure you, I remember it. I was there, yeah. The piece is of Augustus Caesar, and it's made of white marble. It's a very large statue, yes, okay. And you might be wondering, why does this piece show how leaders were able to gain support through artwork? Well, he was kind of a butthole leader. He wasn't very good. He kind of led to the destruction of Rome. Let's discuss how he used this piece of art to keep the support of the people even though the society was slowly declining while he was ruling. So, I'm so good at this. Augustus didn't want to seem godly in the piece, but he still referenced divine position to infer that even though he was not a god per se, that's how he wanted society to look at him. He was shown barefoot in the piece. The barefootedness indicates that he is a hero, and perhaps, not is, but perhaps a god. And it adds to the civilian aspect to an otherwise military portrait. Before that, before this piece, being barefoot was only allowed on pieces that were depicting gods. And now it's on him, so it's like, I'm not a god, but I'm barefoot. Symbolism. There's a small cupid at his feet of the emperor, and it is referencing the claim that the family of Julius Caesar were allegedly descendants from the goddess Venus. Also, a large part of the piece that is often discussed throughout the art history world is what's on the breastplate. It's depicting an intricately carved story of the return of the Roman legionary eagles lost to Parthia thanks to diplomacy of Augustus. So it's showing how he fixed something that he originally screwed up in the first place. He's like, I screwed it up, but this is how I fixed it. Augustus was the founder of the Roman Empire, but brought war and lost land. But because of this statue still retained support of the people, because they continued to hope that with him as their leader, things would eventually correct themselves. So even though he was a crappy leader, they were hoping that he would eventually evolve into the image of the statue that was currently subsiding in the town square.
Next piece.
Thank you, Frederick the Unicorn, for that wonderful transition. Moving on, we're going to fast forward a little bit in time to the Church of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. We're going to be talking about the mosaic that is in the church. Basically, this piece was during the time that Catholicism was starting, right after the Roman Empire had fallen, and they were trying to get the people of Italy, Rome at the time, to support this new monotheistic religion. The center of the main mosaic, when you first walk into the church, depicts Christ sitting on a globe, and he's in purple, which is a royal color. The leaders of the new monotheistic movement, which was the priests and the They needed something to convince the civilians in joining their belief system. Another part of the mosaic depicting the first Christian emperor after the Roman emperor. The first Christian emperor was this guy named Justinian. In the mosaic of Justinian, he is posed frontally and is haloed and wears a crown and purple imperial robes, like I said before. He is flanked by clergy members, the most prominent being the bishop Maximianus. It's spelled here. I'm just gonna spell it because I can't pronounce it. These Roman, whatever. And to the right of Justinian appear members of the imperial administration and military, which is what the piece is showing by these two figures on his sides, is kind of the early development of what we see as the unity of church and state. And it also shows the relation to Christ and how he has been given the task of delivering word of new superior deity directly to the people so that they can be properly awarded with paradise when they die.
Next piece.
Fast forwarding more in time, the next piece is a very famous portrait of Henry VIII by Hans Holbein, this guy, the Younger, which is what he's called because I guess he's younger. The reason why this piece is so popular is because of the amount of replicas that exist out there. Because the original piece was destroyed in a fire. It is an oil on canvas, and one of the replicas are currently at the Walker Art Gallery in Liverpool, England. And this is one of the most iconic images of Henry and one of the most famed portraits of any British monarch. Holbein was appointed by the English king's painter, and the image of the European monarch is unique because Henry posed without any standard royal garb like a sword or a crown or a scepter. So he looks like a regular, not really regular because in the background there's still a lot of fancy kingly kind of stuff. But he looks more relatable for the rest of the kingdom, because that's what it was called back then, kingdom. Okay, this is something that I found funny, because apparently when archaeologists found pieces of Henry VIII's original surviving armor that survived the fire and everything, he was made to look taller in the painting than he actually was. So he was a little short fat man and not a tall fat man, which would have been more dignifying at the time, I guess, to cover all the fat. Another thing that I thought was interesting, the painting shows Henry as probably mid to early 30s, and he's really healthy and in great shape. I lied about that last part, he's not in great shape, he's a fatty. When in reality he was in his 40s when the painting was made, and he had been recently badly injured and was also suffering from health problems that affected him later in life. Probably because he's fat. Major nobles commissioned their own copies of the painting to show their loyalty to Henry. Other people, probably surrounding countries that traded with Henry, would purchase or commission other artists to create their own version of the painting to show, you should keep trading with us because we have a painting of you in our hall or something, because that's not creepy.
Next piece.
This next piece is a piece from this century. It was made popular during Obama's 2008 presidential campaign. It's the Big Hope poster. The key selling points for this piece are the fact that it used red, beige, technically it's beige and not white, it's beige, blue and black ink to basically push the point that if you vote for this guy, super American to vote for this guy, and otherwise you're not American. Hope. This was designed by a pop artist called Shepard Fairey, which is kind of a stupid name because when I think of Shepard Fairey, I think of a shepherd who's in charge of shepherding fairies. Anyway, the poster either consisted of the words progress, change, or hope. The design was created in one day, just on the first day, immediately after he first printed it and first came up with the idea. He immediately sold on the streets 350 copies of the poster. After Obama was elected president, Ferry's very first copy of the portrait was obtained and put in the Smithsonian Institute for the National Portrait Gallery. Gained a lot of support from the people and gained Obama a bunch of support, obviously, because this is his second term and he's doing pretty good so far, I guess. And yeah, moving on.
Next piece.
The very last piece we're going to talk about is a non-Western piece. It's a poster of Chairman Mao by Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was best known for making pieces of just famous people in like different colors, like the Marilyn Monroe piece. What it did in America was basically remind people, we don't like that guy. But in China, it's like, oh yes, oh that's racist, I'm not gonna do that voice. In China, what it did was remind them of their leader and how great he was, because it was a huge piece. Once he made it, it was like its image was taken and put everywhere. So in China, oh wow, that was gross. Mao Zedong got even more support from his people. What all these pieces have in common, even though they're not from the same period of time, is that they all were able to take the leaders of that time period and show that if you support us, we will make you very happy, even though some of them were crappy leaders. This guy, specifically. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was semi-amusing for the class. I hope it made your morning or whatever, because it's early and you might be like talking. Thank you so much for watching, and I promise I'll never do this again. I'll put the links to all the sources, the works cited, in the description, and also when this is over I'll put them in the credits. So anyway, once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a very nice rest of the day, and goodbye! Even though I'm right there. But bye! Okay.